Hi, everyone. When someone attempts to shame us, remember three things. One, remember you are not them and they are not you. Number two, it's not about you, it's about them. And number three, when we have internal shame attacks or self-alienation, these are things that I can control, not them. Those of us who experience shame attack from others, as well as internally within us, have shame that lies dormant within us from growing up from shame-based relationships and shame-based families. It's common, as we know, that shame seeks shame. Shame will seek out others who tend to be shaming. We've been shamed, we feel shame, we seek out shame. So shame seeks shame, which is why it's so important for us to work on that and to reduce and resolve our shame issues. A shame-based family of origin is one in which there's neglect, criticism, addiction, shaming communication, abuse, a lack of affirmation, and a lack of unconditional love. Neglect is a passive shame. Conditional love is a passive shaming tool as well. When we experience shame attack from others, one of the first things we want to think is, I am not them and they are not me. So whenever someone comes to you and say, I don't know how you could let yourself get that way. Shaming. Whenever you hear shoulds and oughts and you should have and those are shaming statements. Well, you should have known better. That's a shaming statement. Always remember, I'm not them, they're not me. I don't control their thoughts or feelings. I don't cause their thoughts or feelings. I refuse to fuse with them around this shaming, emotionally fuse with them or enmesh. I will observe their words and behavior, but not absorb it. Tell yourself, I want to watch how someone tries to shame another person. Take an observer's role. If you feel a parent or a friend or sibling or someone close is going to be shaming you, take the observer role of, hey, I think I'll watch someone trying to attempt to shame me. And if we can take a more observer role, we don't absorb it as much. A narcissistic dad says to his daughter, you are my 26-year-old daughter and you are still living with your mother, trying to pay for a graduate degree and a home of your own someday? When will you grow up? Shaming statements. Well, Dad, I don't see it as immature. I'm so happy I'm planning well for my financial future and that I'm lucky enough to live with Mom for a while so I can accomplish that. These are my goals, Dad. They may not be yours. And again, if you notice, I'm going back to, I am not them, they are not me. The daughter could also refer to the dad or respond to the dad, well, I wish I could see it that way, Dad, but I just don't. Or, you sound so disappointed, Dad. That must feel very uncomfortable. Does it worry you, Dad, that I'm living with Mom right now? Sorry, Dad, it doesn't worry me. And all of those statements take into our awareness that I am not them and they are not me. Jack, who has a wife, Sarah, And Jack shames his wife with this comment. What does it feel like, Sarah, to have ruined my day off? You should have known this would mess up my whole day. Should have known, shaming. Whenever you hear should, always think of shaming. You should have known. Sarah learns to calmly and matter-of-factly remember that I'm not him, he's not me. Jack, I didn't know I had. In other words, I didn't know I had ruined your day. I didn't do anything that would have necessarily messed up your whole day. Those are your feelings. They're not my feelings. I have no idea why it feels that way to you, Jack. I don't see it happening that way. I don't see this day coming together that way. Well, Jack, if you need to believe that I ruined your day off, I'm just not sure I can change that. I wish I could. Well, Jack, if I were all-knowing, Jack, I would have known this. But I'm not all-knowing. Jack, do you believe it was done on purpose? Jack says, yeah. Jack, I don't remember having that purpose. I don't remember having it at all. And if you notice, Sarah's not arguing with Jack. She's either telling about her experience or affirming what his experience is. But she's not arguing with him. You can have your experience, Jack. I can have mine. Secondly, shame attacks from others are not about you, but about them and their emotional space between you. Mason and Fossum, in their book Facing Shame, which I would recommend, shame is an inner sense of being completely diminished or insufficient as a person. And again, when somebody says, well, you should have known better, that's very diminishing. It communicates you're just insufficient as an adult or a person or a kid. Or as Gershom Kaufman states, to feel shame is to feel seen in a painfully diminished sense. He has a very interpersonal way of thinking about shame, and I would recommend his book called Shame by Gershom Kaufman, Kaufman. It might be slow reading, but there's some really great gems in there for those who really want to dig into shame. I remember talking with him and we had some conversations, and he was a very interesting author. I would really recommend him. I might add to this definition, these feelings of feeling diminished or insufficient are a means to manage the relationship in a way that enmeshes or fuses me to the other person emotionally. And again then, when we enmesh, I lose me. Enmeshment means not enough self, not enough I-ness, too much we-ness. And that's what shame often does. It's to diminish your I-ness and for you to fold into our we-ness. And we want that dynamic to happen in that pattern. Because I'm going to judge you and shame you, and you just need to fit right into that. Well, that means you have to leave yourself at the door. And that's not healthy. And I consider this is fusion without closeness. In other words, I want you to fuse with me, but it's not truly closeness. It's emotional fusion. Just like when a couple is overly enmeshed, they have such a difficult time relating to one another because there's not enough separateness. So actually, they're over close, which feels like no closeness. And that's the paradox that family systems thinking can help us see. That enmeshment is over closeness or fusion without the closeness. When you diminish myself or see me as insufficient, I lose my sense of self and fold into you and into the relationship field or the relationship Wi-Fi. I call it the Wi-Fi that goes out. Shame attacks are used by others when they cannot or don't know how to influence you in a positive way. They use fusion or control to get you to change or comply. And again, that's the purpose of the shaming, is to get you enmeshed in them and you complying. And remember, I am not you, you are not me. This shaming is about you, it's not about me, though it is about us. It's not about me, it is about you, and it also is about us and what you want us to do emotionally in the system. You want us to blend or fuse. And I don't want to lose my sense of self in this. They reenact, someone who's shaming, their own shaming they received growing up, and they reenact it with you because it feels normal. So it's not about you, it's about their own shaming that they're passing along. Shame-based parenting is the most widely used parenting approach today, I believe. I see it all the time. I go to the grocery store, I go to the supermarket, I go to the Walmart or Target or all the places that you can go and shop. And I see parents using shaming as a way to control or discipline their kids. Now, it is effective. It can work. The problem is it also sends other messages that the parents may not be aware of and also may cause problems in the future. I myself have experienced shaming. I've experienced bullying, which is shaming, weight shaming, message shaming, meaning the message or the theory and the things that I've wanted to share with all of my viewers. Looks shaming, in other words, how I look. Past shaming. Oh, but you weren't perfect back then, that many years ago, Jerry, and you did this. Past shaming. Choice shaming. Well, how dare you go and rent a car like that? That's just being greedy and selfish, and like they don't even know that I saved up all this money to do that, and I don't play golf, but I'm going to try to do this one thing that I'd like to do. They're doing choice shaming, vacation shaming, financial shaming. There's all kinds of ways people can shame us. Career shaming. My mom used to career shame in this way. She would say, well, I know you're helping people as a therapist at that time. And, but I just think it's so sad that you're not using God's gift of your singing or musical ability to help other people. And again, happy that I'm doing what I'm doing, but also shaming me for not doing what she thinks God wants me to do. And that I should feel really bad since I have this talent that what's wrong with me for not giving it to other people, showing to other people? Well, because that's between God and me. And it's not between my mom and me, it's between God and me. And I told my mom, well, Mom, you're just going to have to pray harder. You're just going to have to tell God, he's going to have to tell me. Because right now, he and I are pretty comfortable with what I'm doing. But thanks for worrying. So, again, let them have their shaming beliefs and words about you. Just don't absorb them. I've even said to myself, when I'm being shamed, I know you want me to get close, or you want to absorb me, but I'm not choosing that right now. Because when someone's being critical or shaming, they want to pull you into their emotional field. And they want you to be them. They want that we-ness to be really strong. No, I need a healthy balance of we-ness and I-ness. And they're asking for too much we-ness when they do shaming. Shaming in family systems language is pursuit. And that's why I like to talk about it in this way of the relationship dynamics. Because when someone shames you, they're pursuing you. Also, do you know when someone's angry with you, they're pursuing you. When someone won't forgive you, they're pursuing you. When someone can't get over you, they're still pursuing you. And that's the nature of systems and family systems. And so, shaming in family systems language is pursuit. You're chasing me. I experience then myself as an extension of you. When we get shamed, we experience ourselves as an extension to the other person. I don't want to be an extension to you. You may have opinions about what I should have done, what I should be doing, why I'm so bad for not doing that, you may have all those opinions. But I'm not an extension of you. So you need to stay on your side of the tennis net on this tennis court. And you can listen to other videos where I talk about the tennis net and the tennis court. Someone who's shaming you is jumping over the tennis net and into your face. Or another way of saying it is, they've thrown a rope around you and are trying to pull you over the net to their side on the emotional game field. And I don't want to go there. I want them to stay on their side of the net, me to stay on my side of the net. Thirdly, internal shame attacks are self-alienation attacks. Not only do shame attacks come from others, but they can also occur inside us. Our internalized shame can erupt at different times. I think it could be said that external shame attacks are pursuing in nature. Just like I mentioned, it's a pursuit. Even hate is a pursuit. Hate and love are kind of love in terms of closeness or attachment. Hate and attachment are the same side of the same coin. The opposite side is neutrality or detachment. Because you can either pursue someone with love or pursue someone with hate. But you're pursuing with both. So as I said, external shame attacks are pursuing in nature. So also are internal shame attacks. Who are we trying to pursue when we have a shame attack? Ourselves. But it comes out in an alienating way, a shaming way. Actually, we can read them as a call to comfort, partner, and love ourselves. I believe this is our broken way to communicate to ourselves. When I have felt a deep shame trigger and deeply shaming, and maybe no one had done anything, it may have been something, we'll talk about how we can have internal shame attacks. I feel bad about myself. That's myself reaching out to myself in an unhealthy way to take care of me. For those of us who grew up in shame-based families, we become shame-bound. And then whenever we feel any need or drive, we can immediately feel ashamed. You shouldn't have wants. You shouldn't have needs. You shouldn't have any drives. You should feel shame immediately for those. And I think it's good if we can read them in a way that, it's not that I need internal shaming. It's that internal self or inner child trying to get my attention to provide love, comfort, solace for me. We then feel the rejection of the self while yearning for the self. We reject ourselves, think of it as yearning for the self. And, what are some helpful antidotes to self-shame attacks? What can we do? Refuse to abandon yourself. That is critical. Refuse to abandon yourself. No matter how you feel, no matter how bad you feel about you, the worst thing we can do is abandon ourselves. The best thing we can do is not abandon ourselves, even if we're feeling this shame, or feeling down, or feeling stupid, or feeling worthless. If I don't abandon myself, I have a much better opportunity to come out of the attack. Initiate self-love and self-compassion. So we need the emergency kit of self-love and self-compassion. Plan. Be ready to love yourself. How would you love yourself? How would you show yourself self-compassion? One example I think of, I remember having a boss. I worked at a hospital, and I had this boss who was pretty shaming and pretty guilt-producing. I mean, she couldn't hardly even manage without guilting and shaming. And so I already knew it was going to happen. So I'm going into the office with them, and I decide I'm just going to hold my hand. I'm going to keep it down low where no one's really noticing it, and I'm going to hold my own hand, meaning, Jerry, I'm here for you. No matter what she says, no matter what happens, I still love you and I'm here for you, no matter what comes to her mind or her head. And then also realizing I am not her and she is not me. And then we can also work on and practice inner bonding, like Margaret Paul says in her book, Inner Bonding. And, using a teddy bear can be a way of comforting ourselves when we have shame attacks. But remember, when you have a shame attack, remember it's a flag going up saying you're needing something. It's not you're needing to be shamed. It's that yourself is needing you at that time. You also can reassure yourself that you're not going anywhere. And I remember telling myself, Jerry, I'm here for you, and I'm never going to leave you again. I'm not going anywhere. That was some of the most comforting words I ever heard from myself, to myself. And that made all the difference in the world. Because if I can love me, I'm much less worried about what other people think or do. What I had trouble with is when I would abandon me, now I would feel all is lost. Because now I don't even have me. And so I'm left out there standing all alone, isolated, shamed, diminished, and no one's there for me. Not even me. Well, that's where we have to begin to change. Work on your shame with a coach or a therapist. I like Gershom Kaufman's statement that you want to find someone, a sponsor, a coach, a therapist, a pastor, who can communicate this. Yes, I see your shame, your feelings of stupidness and worthlessness, and I'm neither afraid nor ashamed to approach. That's who we need to find to help us with our shame. I would recommend any of the coaches that work for me. They're excellent with shame. I would also suggest that you research shame in the 12-step literature if you're connected to any of the 12-step groups. Don't isolate with shame. Talk to other trusted friends, therapists and coaches. Read Facing Shame by Mason and Fossum. Read Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. And then Shame by Gershon, Gersen, Kaufman, Kaufman. He talks about the interpersonal nature of shame. And we want to rebuild that interpersonal connection. And remember, it is important to know who we are and who we are not. I am not my shame. I want to thank you for watching. Have a great day and be wise.